Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Community Exchange podcast, where we sit down with friends old and new to talk about their careers, what's shaping the future of media and advertising. I'm Matthew Scott Goldstein, better known as
MSG,
and I am the self-proclaimed
second most connected person in publishing.
Publisher AI.
Publisher AI.
Thank you very much. As always, the Community Exchange podcast is brought to you by OpenWeb, the community platform for the open internet. Now, I have a great conversation for you with Nikhil Kolar, VP of Product Management of Microsoft AI, better known as MAI. Nikhil's a product and engineer, because you're an engineer also, we'll get to that in a sec, who builds and scales AI-driven platforms, monetization models, infrastructure, you name it, he can do it. Okay, Nikhil, let's start 2005, 2008.
Okay.
End of the great recession. We've had like 7 of these conversations so far in this season. What were you doing and where did you go next?
Well, 2005 to 2008, I was in strategy consulting. I had left the world of tech. I started off as a software engineer, came to the US to do my MBA, went to Amazon and loved being in operations, spending time in the fulfillment center.
But this was Amazon like in 2004.
2004.
Okay.
They're trying to be a $6 billion company. Stock price was $26. I had an offer to join them full time. I'd never worked in the US before. So figuring out how different industries work in the US was fascinating.
And being consulting, you could do that.
In consulting, I could do that. So when I got back on campus with the Amazon internship, suddenly all the consulting companies who had previously said, oh, we'll take you into a tech practice, were like, oh, if you have an operations offer from Amazon, then we'll take you into our operations practice, which is what I wanted.
Oh.
And so
instead of just all tech, you were tech and operations.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I just went into strategy and ops and spent 3 years in Cleveland, traveling the Midwest. I know. People ask me, how was Cleveland? I say, I don't know. I left Monday and came back Thursday.
Okay.
So,
And Cleveland was not great. Was it okay?
It was fun. So
you did all the Midwest clients from Cleveland? Is that how it works?
6 months in Muscatine, Iowa with Han Office Furniture Company.
Wow.
Few months with Quest Diagnostics. They're buying all these Lab One of Kansas and so on. And so doing post-merger integration, figuring out which labs to keep, which patient service centers to keep because both had the same thing. Helping a kitchen countertop company called Silestone enter the US market.
You're putting me to sleep now.
But it was fun. I loved it. I loved it.
And you probably met great people.
I worked in 8 different industries, learned how different industries in the US work. Automotive, ExxonMobil, Delphi, all these companies. So
that's the best definition I've ever got of someone doing consulting work. How they worked for 8 different industries, learned 8 different companies and how they worked.
Yeah,
and that's a great way to say it.
It was fascinating, but it was also around that time when the tech world came calling again. And so that's how I ended up in 2008, right around when, as you said, the depression was coming around. Joining Microsoft.
Great recession.
The recession, there you go. Yeah, the depression was back in 31.
Yes. So then you joined Microsoft in what role?
Joined Microsoft because they were looking for people with tech backgrounds and consulting backgrounds to come in to help launch Bing. And so I joined the product management team to help launch Bing.
Well, that's pretty friggin' awesome.
It was fun.
Having your engineering background, having the foresight to actually go into consulting, get operation stuff, and then go to Microsoft to launch Bing and to use your engineering background again, right, and product background.
Yeah. So I started off as a product manager, focusing on the ad experience for the launch of Bing.
Okay.
So that was part of my job. The other part of the job was also doing some product marketing because we were launching Bing for the first time as a decision engine at that time. How do we help customers recognize the new elements that we had launched that was not available on Google or anything else at that point, for example, right? So that's what I started with. My first job was to basically cut out a bunch of bad ads. So we cut about 30% of the ads, but had to optimize, so we lost only about 8% of revenue. But we wanted to have a pristine experience for launch. So that's where it started. Spent the next 7.5 years doing Bing and then Cortana.
In Microsoft in Seattle.
In Seattle.
So you went from the Midwest to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And spent time. I felt I did the same job, but my title kept changing. Product management, business planning, product marketing, and so on. But all the time was around business models and monetization for Bing as a publisher. And then Cortana was just coming around. So trying to figure out
And Cortana, we talked about Cortana was what or is what?
Cortana was the equivalent of Siri and Alexa. They all started at the same time, meant to be the agent experience.
And we're gonna get to that in like 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was way ahead of its time in some ways because it couldn't really deliver on the promise of what it was meant to be, which now with, last couple of years, we've seen that can really happen. You can have a truly agentic experience. And so that's what I was doing for a few years. And then I realized I'd moved too far away from core engineering.
Okay.
And so I left Microsoft to go to a small public company in Seattle called Marchex, which focused on...
I remember Marchex.
Yeah, there you go. So it was to help with offline conversion tracking for online actions.
Which is which was what the internet is today in some ways, in so many...
In lots of ways. So this was around phone calls.
Okay.
And so a lot of people would see ads from, let's say, a T-Mobile or Bridgestone Motors or Wyndham online and then call them. And that visibility was lost to the CMO, right? And so we were able to sort of provide that visibility to say, hey, here's the ads that got clicks, but here's also the ones that drove phone calls.
Okay.
And so now the CMO has a better visibility into understanding what
full
the true
fun,
value,
everything, right?
as best as we could, yeah. And then that expanded because we had the phone calls itself. We could run transcripts on the calls and then go back and say, hey, do you know that your agents didn't answer the call well, and so it didn't result in the conversion, and so you need to train your agents better. So we had, we worked with T-Mobile to help with improving their call center operations, but also then go to, say, a Bridgestone Motors and say, hey, you close at 5, but if you had your phones answered for another 15 minutes, you could have booked 3 more appointments for the next day because these are the number of calls you got from 5 to 5:15.
And this was 2015
through 18.
Okay. So the tech wasn't good like it is today, where it'd be so obvious. It wasn't
right.
Right. Okay.
So I did that running product engineering for the company, and then finally accepted my fourth offer from Amazon. My fourth offer. I turned them down when it was $26 a share, $260 a share, $1,260 a share. Finally, the fourth time round, I was.
And you told me at lunch you don't have an interesting career. This is fascinating.
Yeah, it was fun because this time around they were like, okay, why don't you come and talk to a few teams and figure out which ones interest you? So I had the unique opportunity of talking to multiple teams.
Okay.
And like this one team that was in the ads organization again, going back to monetization, that was focused on video ads. But the premise that the team had was not exactly what I thought would be successful. The vision, I think, was that when people come to Amazon to buy something, can we show them a video about the product? But before they see the video on the product, can we play an ad for them? And I was like, why would you do that? Why don't you instead show them how the product works,
Which is what we see now on Amazon, right?
So anytime you watch a product video on Amazon before you buy it, that was a system that I got a chance to build. So I led the video shopping experiences team over there.
Because I find myself, I just bought an electric chainsaw.
There you go.
The ones for $31.99, and that video I saw first was what allowed me to buy. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how it works.
Yeah, so it was fun, but it was also a bit of a frictionful role, so to say, because I was in the ads org, but helping improve the overall consumer experience, and not necessarily driving value to the ads organization. But our metrics were, can we help people? And this is the statement I wrote: make more informed and confident purchasing decisions.
And fewer returns, therefore.
We've proved it out, actually.
Okay.
We run the web labs, as Amazon has called it, right? And we showed that returns went down when people watched the video. But at the same time, we couldn't really say that if the video was not there, then people would stop buying, because people bought from Amazon for a number of reasons. They had Prime membership. That's where they'd buy. But they may have gone to YouTube to watch the video and then come back and buy it. And it was like, why do you have to go elsewhere? You can watch it here. So we integrate into Vendor Center, Seller Center to get videos from the sellers themselves, but also customer review videos, influencer videos.
The customer review videos are the best.
Yeah, so the customer review team did that.
The authentic trust nature of it.
Yeah, so the customer review team built that system using a lot of the components that we had built. Video influencer program. So that's what I was doing there. When I got this opportunity to come back to Microsoft to work on something.
How long were you at Amazon for?
Just about 3 years.
Okay.
I loved my time there, but this unique opportunity came up where I am a huge fan of content.
And what year are we now that you went back to Microsoft?
2021.
Okay, so COVID, deep COVID, right?
Yeah, right in the middle of it.
Okay.
A bunch of folks that I'd worked with prior at Microsoft in Bing, we had all left Microsoft and gone off elsewhere. And a bunch of people were coming back to Microsoft. And so, it was an interesting opportunity to come build up the content ecosystem for Microsoft's content business, also known as MSN.
Okay.
And the whole premise was to move from a digitally curated newspaper that was updated maybe 2 or 3 times a day to a personalized algorithm with enough content to keep
And
you
this
interested.
is MSN.com, right?
MSN.com, but also just the new tab page in Edge browser on all Windows machines.
It defaults to MSN homepage.
And on all Windows machines on the taskbar, you get the scores, the news, the financial updates, and you click on it, you get a content feed. So all of that, which today is Copilot Discover.
Okay.
But essentially, my job was to go build up that content ecosystem. So that's where
That's
4.5
a big job.
years. And it was fun. And so I got to work with content publishers worldwide. We grew the partnerships from, I think, about 2,000 brands to about, I think now we have about 18,000 brands or so. We get about 400,000 pieces of content a day worldwide.
400,000.
400,000 a day.
All coming APIs into you.
Feeds. We have feeds set up.
So you have feeds from everyone.
Yeah. So we get a lot of content. And, we have 700 million monthly active users, close to, anywhere, depending on the day, 75 to 100 million daily active users who spend multiple minutes consuming content on the site.
It's ginormous.
Not as big as some of the other content
I
platforms.
know, but it's still really
pretty,
big.
It's pretty, yeah. And, we get about, last checked, I think about 700 to 800,000 user comments a day on all the articles that we have. So basically my job was doing whatever it took to get...
You're basically a publisher at that point.
Yeah. So my job was to get all the content in, put it into the catalog, manage the trust and safety associated with it.
Okay.
So I ran product and engineering to basically...
Governance as well, kicking people out.
Governance, getting people off, getting content farms off the platform, managing quality, doing the rev share, making sure people get paid, providing all the publishers with analytics on what's working, what's not working.
Because without the analytics back to the publisher, they don't know what's working, what to change.
So which of their headlines was working, which of them were not, what are the top engaged articles, where did they get the most comments. So built out that entire product, right? Like a lot of that didn't exist. So we had to build out the MSN Partner Hub, as we call it. Payments, revenue share payments would take 2 months. We cut it down to 16 days.
Okay.
So day 16 at the end of a month, we pay publishers now.
And MSN made the money through advertising?
Yes. So our approach was basically that, Microsoft has been a huge believer in the publishing industry. In 2020, Brad Smith, our president and general counsel, basically wrote a memo that talked about the top 10 things for Microsoft for the next decade. Number 1 was sustainability around climate and so on. Number 2 was around supporting journalism. Number 3 was defending democracy, or 2 and 3 could be interchanged.
Seems like there's another company that wouldn't say that.
I'm sure.
Many other companies would not say that.
But we have actually followed through on a lot of those things. With Microsoft, with MSN itself, 30 years of supporting the publishing industry constantly. And so that's kind of where it came through, that, we wanted to sustain the publishing industry as best as we could, provide a way for them to syndicate content, and help, send another check into their mailbox, right? So
supporting
that's kind of what we're
journalism,
doing.
yes.
Yeah, so that's where it started. And so that's where sort of the next transition came in, where over the last 18 months, in all my conversations with publishers, I think I've talked about this on LinkedIn as well. My team, that was we called it the Partner Growth and Happiness team. And our publishers loved it when they heard it. We were like, yeah, our job is to help grow your business and make you happy. The team had about 430 meetings with publishers in that 1 year. And I personally met with about 50 or 60 of them. And the thing that we constantly kept hearing was, look, in lots of ways, search happened to us, mobile happened to us, social happened to us. We don't want AI to happen to us. We want to be a part of the conversation.
Because publishers are not part of those conversations.
They were not. It just happened.
Say it again. Search,
mobile, social, it
All
all
just
kind of
happens to
happened,
the
right?
publishers.
And publishers are reacting to it all the time, right? With search, okay, what do I need to do to get seen in search?
Yep.
Mobile, what do I need to do? Oh, I need to create an app. Oh, maybe I need to do AMP or whatever else, right?
Yep. You're bringing back all these memories. Yes.
Painful, lots
Yes.
of times painful memories, right? And then social, like how do I go get myself onto Facebook and everything else now? And so the question that kept coming up is how do we partner with Microsoft in the AI age, right? That was the question that I kept getting, and so that's what caused me to sort of change my job a bit. There was a role already available within Microsoft that had some of the products that publishers used. For example, the monetize SSP. There's a analytics product or behavioral analytics product called Microsoft Clarity, which is free to use. 2.5 million sites use it.
I use it. It's great.
There you go.
Especially the heat maps. The heat maps are
The heat
fabulous.
maps and screen recordings, they're
Yes,
huge.
amazing.
Uh,
And it's Clarity. If anybody wants to download that Clarity, you put a little
Yeah.
code on the page,
yeah.
and you get these heat maps of where users go, especially the home pages where they click over X amount of days, and it is so insightful.
Yeah, and it's not just for content publishers. Like content publishers are, where attention is what is monetized, but for intent monetization
Yes.
as well. Any shop, we are on Shopify, for example, and you can just install the Clarity app, and it will tell you how your site is doing
Yeah,
and so on.
It's fabulous.
We also had, so this is where there is a set of products that were available that were already being used by publishers. And so what I'm trying to do now is figure out how we can pull together the best of Microsoft resources to help publishers and digital businesses be successful in the agentic web. So that's kind of my job right now.
And you have significantly more engineers than all the publishers you're dealing with at the Microsoft world, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, incredibly lucky to be part of the ecosystem at Microsoft, right? Like it's not just the consumer part of Microsoft, but the enterprise side, the Azure side of the house. There's just so many cool things that are happening within Microsoft. And that was the other thing I kept hearing from publishers, which was that, hey, when we want to work with Microsoft, there are like 3 or 4 different groups and people we need to talk to. Like, who do we go to for
You
what?
and your team are now one-stop shopping for publishers to talk about everything Microsoft.
Absolutely.
related.
So, we're talking to publishers and they're like, hey, we want to talk about Azure. How do we get onto Azure? Because you've heard so many cool things. They're like, okay, here you go. And my team doesn't do it, but we'll connect you to the Azure team. We know exactly who to go to. We have built up those pipelines internally. But the question then comes down to, okay, what should be the operating system, so to say, to use a term from the past, for the agentic web? How should a business think about it? Specifically, how should a business think about being found in the agentic web? Because that's changing dramatically. Everything is collapsing down to an agent that has an answer versus having to go through multiple sites to get to what you wanted, maybe multiple decision points and so on. So how do you get seen and selected in that world? If you are selected, then how do you interact and engage that customer? It can't just be a website of the past or a search box of the past. What now? How do you monetize? How do you make money from all of that stuff?
Okay.
And 2 additional layers that cut across all of these. How do I understand what's going on? What's the intelligence layer? And also what's the trust and ecosystem layer? So that's my mental model of the operating system, where I have the how do I get found? How do I interact? How do I monetize? How do I find out what's happening? And how do I have a trust layer across this?
Okay, and then the biggest part of your job is the Microsoft Publisher Content Marketplace right now?
That's one of the things. Yeah, absolutely. So if I go back to the framework that I just set up, I'm also working on helping businesses understand how to be found and where they're being seen in AI engines. The beauty of Microsoft is that we have one of the copies of the internet through Bing.
Yep.
And that.
Wait, when you say one of the copies of the internet through Bing, can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, I mean, look, any of these search engines, and Google and Bing are the large ones in the US, right? They have a good understanding of the internet.
Because you're crawling.
Because you're crawling all the sites, of course, respecting robots.txt and figuring out, what's available, what's fresh, what's recent, all the way into the long tail. And it is not easy, right? It is like 20 years of working hard at trying to figure out how to understand this huge amount of content, what's important in that,
it's
what's not.
It's billions of pages a day, hundreds, whatever the number is.
Huge number.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so that we talked about it this recently as well, becomes sort of a grounding signal for a lot of the AI engines, right? Because you're able to provide a view of what the real world is.
Okay. Based on the internet that you crawled that day, or
whatever is
Okay.
available through public use.
Okay.
Right. And publishers, Microsoft has always given publishers the controls to decide how they want their content to be found and used. And what didn't necessarily exist was a way for premium content to be compensated when it was used in AI engines.
Right, because it's been stolen over all the last 3-4 years, right?
I don't know about stolen.
Okay.
I think what I would say is that
loose interpretation of copyright laws.
It's been available
Okay, it's right
through public use, and it's been used in whatever way, shape, or form, and the jury's out on some of these questions about the economics of it and so on.
I could say stolen, you can't.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I don't necessarily subscribe to that either.
Okay.
So, but I think what we do believe very strongly is that we need to provide publishers with the controls to choose how they want their content to be used. And if they don't want their content to be used in AI engines without compensation, then there needs to be an opportunity for that to happen.
Okay.
And that's what led to the setting up of the publisher content marketplace. So it's a part of what I'm doing in addition to, helping people be found through all the grounding APIs that we have in the AI engines. We are building agents for them on their sites. So for example, if you're a small business and let's say you're in Shopify and you need a agentic experience, then we create one for you for free.
What's an example of an agentic experience that a Shopify?
I love this example, and this is one of my favorite ones. So there's a website called myperfectplants.com.
Okay.
Okay, they're on Shopify, and they had installed the Clarity app, and so through Clarity we know what's happening, where users are dropping off, and so on. Right. One of the things is like if I go to that site today, I don't know what plants to buy. I just don't know. There's so many plants. They have a fantastic collection. I don't know what to do. And then they have a search box. And I go there and say, okay, plants for the Seattle winter. And I get one result, which is pretty random. Because guess what? The metadata associated with the plant catalog that they have, nowhere does it say Seattle winter plants. But now we basically create an agent on the site. You click on that agent and it looks like it opens up like a ChatGPT Copilot experience. And I can say plants for Seattle winter. And because it's hooked up to the LLM, it knows what Seattle winters are: cold, rainy, but not too cold, no snow.
Okay.
Overcast all the time. It knows what plants grow in that environment. And now it's able to look up, are those plants available in the catalog? Yes, they are. Here's 4 of those. And what we've seen is that as a result of now having that agentic experience there, conversions, actually purchases, has gone up 2 to 3x. For the small and medium-sized business
awesome.
for myperfectplants.com. And all of this is for free, right? Like you're on Shopify, you just install the Clarity app and say, I want a brand agent, and we index your catalog, and we have the power of the LLM, and we create this user experience. We can do this for content publishers as well.
How would it work what's an example of an agent like that on a content publisher?
So, you recently talked to Nikhil Kolar from the Washington Post. They've built a great experience with Ask the Post.
Okay.
And that's an agentic experience, but that's trained on all of their corpus of content, and they have had to go build it. Now, not everyone has the wherewithal that a Washington Post does to go build those experiences. And so we can make one available.
So basically, curiosity is whatever you want to build, you can build some type of agentic experience using your
Absolutely.
tools.
And so where we have started is we are starting to build it in a way where we don't have to customize everything. That's why we started with Shopify. But we are also building it for WooCommerce, WordPress. We have these plugins in all of these places. So if you're on WordPress, you can say, I want an agent once through the Clarity app, and you basically get an agent on your site, right? And so then any customer can come in and just have a conversation and have access to all your content. And now you're able to deliver a lot more value to that customer who did end up at your website, right? Because one of the conversations we've been having is that, with the change in the user experiences, whether it is going to a search engine and experiencing an answer engine instead, the traffic going to the sites has actually gone down.
Yes.
right?
It's the Google Zero we've been talking about over and over.
Right. But in lots of ways, a lot of the traffic that was coming to the publisher site may also have been drive-by or marginally interested in your content and
It
so
was
on.
it was like upper funnel traffic that was coming to the publishers. They'd hopefully convert into something long term. They typically come for 1.1 pages and leave.
And perfect, right? And so what did a lot of publishers, not necessarily the good ones, but what a lot of publishers did was they blasted as many ads as they could at those users who came in.
That was definitely a strategy.
That made it a terrible experience for those users who really wanted to come to the publisher site and engage. And so those people also left, right? So now the point is, if in this new world, somebody does look at the citation and click through and come to your site, don't you want to provide them with the best experience possible at this point?
Yes.
And so one of those could be the agentic experience. It could be clean up your site and not have all those pop-up boxes and ads and all that anymore. Build up your reputation, build up the trust, and get them to subscribe and increase the lifetime value of that one visit. How do you get them to convert? So that's part of what we are trying to work with publishers and businesses as well through that second pillar that I was talking about, right? Once you get found, how do we help you actually interact and convert, leading to the monetization part.
And how does the monetization part happen?
So for intent-based business, the monetization is conversions. As I said, we are seeing huge increase in conversions through the agentic experience. But for attention-based business, we provide multiple options, right? Like one is we have the monetize SSP where we deliver ads on their site, so we can, look at the quality of ads that are being delivered. We are exploring what kind of ads would you provide for the agentic experience. Like how do you surface more of what you have that might interest those users? We have the syndication, channel where we help them monetize on MSN and give them a check for that. And then finally, the publisher content marketplace, which is if their content is used in these marketplaces, then how do we then compensate them for it, right? And the premise of that is pretty simple. How do we build a low friction, high trust, scalable way for any AI builder to get access to any content and be able to pay for it?
One-stop shopping as opposed to scraping or paying a third party to do it that doesn't have the rights.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if you think of a publisher site today, they're getting hammered by all the bots, right? And all these bots are trying to get access to the content.
This is my next question for you, yes.
Okay. And so in this model, you would essentially say, hey, all our content is available with the associated licensing that I would like to provide. This is how much I want to be paid for these kind of scenarios. This is who I want my content made available to, and so on. Express all of that with the content made available in the Microsoft Publisher Content Marketplace with the price associated with it. And any AI builder would essentially come in and say, hey, I want premium content through our grounding API interface. And we would basically give them a ranked list of content with only the public use content or public and premium use if they're paying for it. And whatever is paid is basically collected, and a large majority of that is shared with the publishers for having used their content in these AI experiences.
When we were talking earlier, we were talking about how the publishers, for the most part, are not doing a good enough job of blocking all the bots.
I'm glad you're saying it. I've been saying it for a while.
Right, but and some of the publishers are doing a better job. Some of them are experimenting, but unless the publishers block every single one out there, there's too many holes for these companies to get to and crawl and get the content from somewhere else.
There's no market. Look, if your content is available freely elsewhere, then why would anyone want to pay for your premium content? It's as simple as that, right? So this marketplace, again, that we are building is not for all content, right? It is for premium content where publishers are basically, declaring that, hey, this is premium. It's paywall content. It's content that I don't want to make available anywhere else for free and so on. Only that kind of content is eligible for this marketplace, right?
But what we were talking about is instead of trying to block 100 bots or 200 bots, go the other way. Only allow the 10 or so or 15 or so that are ad related that you have a deal with, double verify IAS, the SSPs, and that's it. And then by default, block every single other one out there. And it seems easier said than done. I don't think too many publishers are doing it yet.
I've not seen it happen. I would love to hear more about that from publishers. I hear it from publishers all the time that, hey, I'm not sure we have the choice to do that. We don't know what's going to happen to our business if we did that, and so on. But that's where publishers have to sort of take some control over their assets and their content, right?
Right. But your message over and over is the better job you do blocking everyone, the more likely I'm getting more money for you from my content marketplace.
I think the message that I have is that it's a publisher choice. They need to decide how they want their content to be handled. And we at Microsoft have always made it available, all the controls available to publishers to decide that, right? Like there is some value for a lot of publishers to make their content available through public use. They may still get traffic, they'll get visibility, they'll get some brand recognition because their brand is going to be seen more often in a lot of these AI experiences if it's publicly available,
Okay.
right? But for some of them, maybe that's not what they want. Maybe their business model is different. In that case, they need to make that decision for themselves on how to do that. All I'm saying is if you want to be paid for your content, if that's the decision you've made,
And I think every single publisher I talk to, the answer would be yes.
if that's the case, then having it just be taken from your sites without you having control over that
Yes.
is not great.
And it's not only is it blocking, it's blocking and or induce and enforcing so much friction out there where it takes 30 or 60 seconds to get to the article instead of instantaneously, and that works just as well.
I'm hearing about that as well right now.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So, but look, again, that is a publisher's right to decide how they want to do it.
I personally think some of the publishers don't have the right people in these organizations to be able to figure this out, and it's not a simple one switch you do. And there's not a blueprint of what to look at and how to do this.
Yeah. And they've got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. What we are doing at Microsoft is to say that we have a path for both. Right. We absolutely value the public use internet. This is what has worked so well for the last couple of decades. But we also recognize that that business model was under strain for a subset of publishers with premium content, where the cost of creating that content was high and they're not getting enough return from the existing or the changing world. And so that's where the content marketplace comes in and says, here's an alternative, because we still want to support that publisher choice, and saying that there's an alternative path to get paid, but it's their choice on how they want to be seen.
Okay. Can we spend talking a couple minutes now about what your take is, what the future looks like of the internet, where it's going to be a preponderance of agents everywhere, and what does that really mean? And give me some examples if you can.
Yeah, we strongly believe in that future. A lot of the Microsoft investments are basically focused on that agentic future, from helping create those agents to basically making sure that those agents are successful in achieving what they're meant to do. What I mean by that is, this is a lot of new conversations that we're having internally as well, where you can think of a world where every human has access to an agent or many agents.
Okay.
Your own personal agent. You could have many of these agents for different jobs.
But today, that only happens with very few people who have deep technical wherewithal to be able to do that right now.
And we expect that to get very, very simple, just as search got very, very simple and was just a box.
Point.
Right? And that's why you see a lot of these entry points into chat also started with a box. Enter what you want over here. You don't need to figure out the keywords anymore. It's like, please and thank you. Can you do this for me? And so that interface, there are a lot of choices available for people in terms of which interface they want to use. But Microsoft has a bunch of these interfaces as well. But primarily Copilot is the interface over there. But we also support any interface that you want, right? So that's one layer.
Do you have agents working for you now?
Absolutely.
What are they doing?
Anywhere from document creation to giving me a synopsis of what my day looks like, what I need to do, what are the unanswered emails.
And you have an unlimited amount of tokens, right? Because I keep on running out of tokens.
Yes.
This morning
I'm
at
lucky that way.
This morning at 9:40, I ran out of tokens, and the message I got was, "Come back at 11, and you can actually start this again." I'm like, "No, this is not right."
So that happens to me for all my personal work.
Okay.
Right. So when I'm at home and I'm building some agent for my personal life, that happens to me. I have a kid who's starting to ask about colleges and all that stuff. So I was trying to find out answers for her questions. And I was like, you know what, your school website has this fantastic resource. There's so many blogs available. Why can't we just go query that? And there's no easy way to do it. So I built a way, just vibe coded my path through to be able to get all of that information and, ground responses on that. I ran out of tokens many times doing that.
Are your agents autonomous? Are they on cron jobs? You have to set them to go, or how's it work?
No, the equivalent internally now, the thing that I'm playing around most is basically this a set of Microsoft individuals have come together to create the equivalent of the class internally, called Claw Pilot, like Copilot. And so that's been pretty great. So I can just go in. It has access to my work IQ, as it's called internally within Microsoft. So all my emails, all my SharePoint sites, my Teams messages, transcripts of all the meetings I've been in. So I can very well go and say, hey, I attended this meeting, get access to the transcript, and give me a document that I can use for my next meeting based on the action items, and it just does it. Right? And so that's pretty simple and easy for it to do.
So yesterday I found myself a little dumb because I've been relying a little too much on the agents as opposed to me thinking. And I'm like, okay, I got to think about this a little harder.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the agents are going to get smarter and smarter every single day. And the question that's going to come up is, how are you adding value on top of it? Whether it's in the question you ask or whether it's...
Right, as your prompts get better and better, your results get better.
And also your assessment of the results, knowing what is good and what is not, right? I think that's where your value is going to come in. You can't just take output. However good it is, I still want to know that this is what is going to go out with my name on it at the end of the day, right? Even if it was done using an agent. So I need to assess it and see, is this good enough? Can I challenge it more? And so on, right? So, but in each of those cases...
It's hard sometimes because the agents give you so much work back, right? It's not like they give you a little sentence. They give me like this plethora of information. I'm like, okay, I have to spend my time going through this. So sometimes
you can
get
be
a little
smart
lazy.
about it. You can break it up into chunks.
Yes.
You can decide how you want to address it, right? Whether you want the whole document or you want just one section of it, and then say, okay, now that this is good, now let's go to the other part.
So in this future, how do I get my news and information? Do I have my agents going to websites for me? Will they be allowed?
Yeah, you could, right? But the way I see it, it's not just about the future that I'm talking about with respect to the world's information being available to the agent. So I talked about the human interface there.
Yep.
Supported by the best models, right? And the models, again, Microsoft is building our own models now, but there are a lot of models and we support any of these, right? In Azure, you'll find all the models of the world available, all the frontier models, not just the Microsoft ones. But all of these models need access to the world's information. And so that's where the content marketplace again comes in, which is that how do we take the world's information, whether it is about a product, whether it is about news, whether it is Dun and Bradstreet's report, whether it is Harvard Business Review case study, any of the stuff that may not even have been available in the OpenWeb previously,
But is now available.
but can now be made available to these agents through the content marketplace.
But I'll have to potentially pay for that though, right?
Through the content marketplace, exactly.
Okay.
So now the question is, if you as a user have an agent that you've built that you want to go get access to the best research out there on a particular topic, or let's say it's a health question that you have and you want to make sure that the Mayo Clinic is
not
involved.
asking Google something about my knee that hurts. This is way more detailed. I want to like pay a professional.
No, it
for
could be the
something.
knee that hurts as well. It could be the knee that hurts. Why is it hurting so much? Like,
But I want the real answer, not
exactly. That could be like, for example, your knee could be hurting because you had surgery 9 years ago and the surgery didn't go well, and you wouldn't know. And so you want access to the latest information, and you are very curious about it. Then you can ask that question, and you're willing to pay for the content through your agent. That agent should be able to go get access to the best of the world's medical information and get it back for you. And that's the scenario that
But that's almost a change in the business model where right now everything's sort of free.
It's not all free.
I
right?
said sort of free.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Right.
if you wanted access, like you as an individual, or let's say not you as an individual, but you as a actor within a company, want access to information. So here's an example, right? I'll go back to my days in consulting, right? I did a project with ExxonMobil, and we were helping their purchasing department figure out a few things. That's when I learned that there is like two parts of the purchasing, two spectrums. There's like 70 different purchasing groups, I think, at ExxonMobil in those days. One would go, let's say, buy the staples and pens and supplies and so on. The other would basically buy the pipes that would be used to build a oil rig somewhere, let's pick some ocean, 5 years from now, right? If you're that purchasing agent over there and you need to figure out, and by agent I mean the human over here at this point, and you need to figure out, should I be buying those pipes today or should I wait 6 months? Then you need to know a lot of information. You need to know, is that oil rig going to be commissioned or not?
That's a big decision you're
making. It's a big decision.
It's
a high consideration.
Thousands or millions of dollars.
Absolutely. It's a high consideration.
Then I'll easily spend thousands of dollars.
You'll easily spend that money, right? Because it needs to know, first of all, what's this geopolitical situation going to be 5 years from now in that region? Will the oil rig be approved? If it's approved, then what kind of piping do I need? Should I buy the piping today or should I wait 6 months? What's the futures on that? Should I place the order or should I not? Because my decision is going to be critical in terms of how much money I end up spending.
That's literally $1 million decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in that case, how do I get all of the stuff? This is where we are saying, look, if you're using Azure, if you have access to our content marketplace, if you have the best content over there, this is real. This is what I mean by premium content. Then at that point of making the decision, the model is basically seeking the best information.
And then you go to your bosses and say, look, I did all this homework myself and all the data out there. It's clearly the best thing is to wait 3 months and then buy it, and here's why.
Yeah, absolutely. And guess what? The company would be willing to pay for all the token use and all the content use and everything else in those situations. And look, this is the other term that I use, right? Like enterprises want to have ethically sourced content. And that's something that enterprises should also double down on and say, we want to pay for the use of content in our business.
Well, and the story I always say is like, I have my phone, I use Chase, right?
Yeah.
At some point in a year or two, I'll go to Chase.
Yeah.
And I'll get all the information I want in the financial market on my Chase phone.
Yeah.
And my Chase app.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's going to happen is they're going to pay a lot of money on my behalf.
Yeah.
Because we're all big clients with them. And they're going to get ethically sourced, 100% correct data. And they can't use some scraping mechanism. They need the source to get it. And it'll be like, wow, you just added so much more value to my life, Chase. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And that's going to happen.
Absolutely. We are seeing it happen already, right? We are seeing this happen already where there are there are companies that need access to the latest information in, as I said, a particular medical device, if they're building that up. So how do you get access to all the information about it? Today, they may go buy a report on that for $800 or something like that. And then that report sits, and then the next person comes along and says, oh, I need this. And they go buy the same report again. Or the agent could basically pay on every use, and the content provider can figure out how much they want to charge for that license for a one-time use of that agent at that point in time, and actually grow usage and actually deliver value.
And that'll be the future. The question is, when does it happen?
The future, what we've seen, is coming sooner than any of us expect.
Okay.
Right?
I want to follow up with one last question.
Yeah.
You mentioned was it a son?
A daughter.
She's daughter. And how old is she?
She's 14 going on 18.
14 going on 18. And she's in 9th grade?
Getting into 9th grade now.
Okay. What are you telling her about the future? No, I'm being serious.
No, we have this conversation all the time.
And what are you telling her potentially? Because I just went to a bar in Pennsylvania and I met this really nice sociable kid. And he's like, I'm going to get into welding.
Yeah.
Because they're all having the conversations about what do you tell your daughter about?
I'm laughing because we have this conversation all the time. And if my daughter hears this, she's like, why would you give my dad a chance to talk about this?
But I'm genuinely interested.
So look, from the age of 6, she had decided she wants to be a lawyer, because I come from a family of lawyers. Like everyone, father, mother, sister, brother, everyone is a lawyer. And she wants to be that. And she's getting increasingly concerned as she's seeing that, hey, what's the value for a lawyer in the future? And how do I think about it? And so the answer I have for her is, I'll give you 2 answers, right? The first one is, look, it's early. A lot of things are going to change.
Yes.
But
and she luckily still has 3-4 years before she make a decision, right?
Well, 8 years before she goes to law school.
Okay. But college as well is a decision now.
Yeah, absolutely, right? But there are 3 things that she can and has to do right now, is what I tell her, right? It doesn't matter what subjects you're taking and whether you're using AI in that or not and so on. The 3 things that are absolutely essential are learning how to fail, learning how to adapt, and learning how to learn. So these three things, they're interconnected. They're not independent.
Fail, adapt, learn.
Learn. You have to, because that is what will keep you going, irrespective of the conditions. Right? If the conditions change, you learn, you adapt after you fail. But you need to learn how to fail as well. You can't just fail and just say, oh, I failed and I just sit there. How do you come back from it? So those three, I keep telling her, are the most important things. So that's the first part, right?
Okay.
Like it's just like the core properties of being successful. The second part, and I don't have a good answer on this one, is as it stands today, what AI is doing in a lot of these kind of jobs is it is making a lot of the entry-level jobs,
which is why the young kids have a very hard time finding jobs.
Very hard time, right? Redundant.
Yep.
And the ones who are experienced, and I told you this before, that you at least need to know what is good, what is bad from the output. Now, in some ways, we are lucky because we have built up that experience to know what is good or what is not good. And what I worry about is younger kids who are coming out of college and taking up their first job, they don't have that job anymore. How do they build up that experience to then know what is good or what is bad? So that's an unanswered area for me to figure out what needs to change in society to build up programs that still allow people to build up that experience in an area of their choice so that they can know what's good or what's bad and be able to make that call, right? If you take, for example, medicine, because it's so critical, right? If 80% of the work is going to be done by AI, let's say, and those last 20%, which is where you really need a human and
Yes.
doctor to come do it, if you never got the experience of the 80%, how will you ever be qualified to handle the 20%? And that has far-reaching impact on society because then those 20% of people who need that don't have an experienced person working on them. And you will be lucky if you fall into that 80% of problems that most of the world has because there will be a solution. But if you're in the last 20%, then what are you going to do? And so that's the problem that
You don't have the answer yet, but you're having all the right conversations to try to get there.
So trying to figure out what are the ways to sort of get
And I
that
assume
experience,
most
how to build it up.
14-year-olds are not having that conversation with their parents today.
Can't say.
Okay.
Mine keeps me busy. That's all I can
Good.
say.
Nikhil, thank you very much. Fabulous
Thank you.
conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you to you. Thank you to the crew here as well. I appreciate this.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.